Hey everybody, my name's Gabriel. I'm a software developer here in Las Vegas. Me and Josh Stacy over here, we work very closely together. And I'm just here to start the Vegas Programmer Meetup, or the Sin City Programmers Meetup. So this is going to be a little agenda. We're going to do a little CES recap since I got the luxury to go just for a day. And we're going to do an activity where the design meetup is actually going to come and collaborate with us. And I'm going to go ahead and go into a little bit more detail on that when we get to it. But let me quickly go through what I saw. So there's a lot of interesting stuff, but I do want to say as a developer what my experience was. So this is me and my roommate. He is the founder of Allo VR, a local startup here in Vegas as well. And we got our own little table to show off his startup. And I started walking around to see what there was to see for engineers, right? See who else I could meet and what I could find out about the technology that was being exhibited there. And what I found actually was that CES, and this will not be a surprise by any means, it's really more for sales, marketing, and business collaboration. There's not too much engineering talent walking around actually. There is some here and there, and one of the main parts where I was able to find a lot of engineering talent was, and unfortunately I didn't take any pictures, was at the university booths. So at the university booths, I was able to find people that were working on specific projects, and those people were really in the meat of understanding their subject matter and doing something new with it. So if you ever do go, this would be where I would suggest going to find out, you know, what are the really interesting projects going on as far as the software engineers there. So one interesting project that I found was a project from, it was Ohio, someone doing their doctorate. They were looking for a way to expose privacy, or not privacy, expose privacy, right? No, make preferences known to companies for the sakes of marketing without exposing private information. So by consolidating that into preference information that doesn't expose timestamps or particular site visits, they're able to have marketing be a tailored experience without exposing information like your IP address or what you were doing on a particular day, which could, you know, be used to assume a lot more information that definitely isn't welcome. And that's something I just found out by going to the universities, not even networking over at the business side. So that's what I'd recommend. Some other cool stuff. I was able to talk to the engineer behind the voice program for the new BMW cars. It's going to be slightly better than Alexa and Siri. It's going to be able to tell you what a restaurant serves and what the best dishes are there, so that's pretty neat. There's a lot of attention for use of TVs to display art, a lifestyle utilization of this technology. So TVs are kind of like going away from just entertainment, and they're being used for not just this, but for displays as well. And that's not a new thing, but it's definitely happening more often. And for health, there was a lot of attention, quite a bit, not so much, and some of it's a little wacky. So companies really like this overall wellness approach to health that's really popular. And it's supposed to give you like an all-in-one insight into how you're doing right now. And the idea isn't really to treat any maladies, but to catch them preemptively and to increase your level of well-being and performance in your everyday life. So there's not only this mirror here, which is a very Black Mirror-like way to assess your health first thing in the morning, but there are other technologies there that would be able to track your variable heart rate and your body fat composition on the day-to-day. So there's new ways to assess your health out there, and health tech is really going strong. Another area that I don't that I don't understand as much that's going strong is the pool cleaning business. It is massive. So I took a picture of this one pool cleaning robot. And the reason why I wanted to show this one off in particular is, and I thought it would be really cool to share with everyone here, is that I wanted to show that low-tech solutions can work just as well as really high-tech solutions. So what you see here is a remote to control the robot. Now, infrared and radio waves don't actually go through water very effectively. So the way they control the robot is with visible light. This is just a glorified flashlight that when aimed at the robot and pointed at a particular sensor can be used to communicate with it. And if you're not, then it doesn't work. But that's the solution that they found to make a remote control pool robot. So I thought it'd be interesting to show. Don't knock low-tech solutions when they actually work. But this is one of like 50 robots. I didn't understand that the pool robot industry is booming.
I have a broken pool robot in my pool right now.
And come get a new one.
One of those.
And besides that, the Roomba section is also massive. It's ridiculous, actually. And I thought I'd share with you guys this very neat video, if it loads. Of this Roomba doing a kickflip. And there it is. Are you entertained? So yeah, cool stuff. This is an AI machine, washing machine. So it can actually separate your whites and your colors and your darks and all that. And this is actually something that I really like. So it doesn't actually take my fun job away from me. It can take my menial job away from me. So, last thing. If you ever do go, I suggest sneakers, not dress shoes. Dress shoes are really nice for networking. I wore Ultra Paradigm 7s. Highly, highly recommend if you're going to a convention like this. If you wear dress shoes, you're probably going to hate yourself by the end. So that was just a really quick recap, but what I really want to do this session is a little hypothetical hackathon. So something that you're going to have to do very frequently as software engineers, especially in a corporate setting, is collaborate with people from different disciplines. One of those disciplines is design, of course. So we're teaming up with the UI design meetup here that came up with some ideas to solve some very common everyday problems and seeing how we can implement them. And then the main thing that I really want to do is compare different implementations and see their advantages and disadvantages. So first thing we're going to do in the next 5 minutes is to make a team of about 3 to 4 members each that you could use to implement a full app from front end, back end, and deployment, and the design part as well. Get together in a group of people that you believe can make a full software. And let's do that for about 5 minutes. And go. Well, now what we're going to do is we're going to hear which ideas we have to pick from and then vote on the idea that we want to implement. So, may we have the design ideas?
Yes. So we actually have like 2 different vendors, and maybe you can go first. I think that folder on the very right is your team.
Could we have you present up here?
Okay.
Use both at once.
Both? Okay.
Yes, it's a lot of mic.
Okay. Hi, I'm Peggy. And my group is just me here. We have 2 other designers. And so for the problem we're trying to solve, it's pretty designer focused. So what are some of the challenges we're facing right now? And some of it includes like feeling burnout or the fear of being laid off, not having job security. And another situation that happens when it comes to fear of job security is at work. There's something called design debt where designers take their time to do design work so that they still have a job that they can keep. So we were coming up with a solution to see what we can do to provide support. And so our solution was something similar to a FigJam board or a Miro board that you can think of, and which includes different post-its of stories, and everyone can go in anonymously and just to see kind of whatever they're going through, and they can find something similar. Maybe people have posted before, they can relate to it, and they can also contribute to it. If they want to post something, they'll have to create an account. And I think the purpose of this is to help them feel like they have a community and to know that someone have experienced something that they're currently experiencing, so hopefully they can find some sort of inspiration to come up with solutions or just to feel support in that way. But this is a very like initial part of this solution. I think eventually we want to have some sort of call to action to link out where they can network with each other or just to find like a community group. Yeah, cool. So that's our problem.
So could I call it a design debt eliminator?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'll use that for the working title.
Yes.
And what's the next idea? All right. Both yes.
Check. Hi, my name's Kimberly. Our team came up with a problem that they would like to solve. What happens when you have a friend that is supposed to go home and you can assume they made it home safely, but you're not quite sure and you haven't heard from them in a while? So we came up with a solution. It could be an app that the friend in question, people would opt in before any emergencies happen, and this person would say, here are 4 friends that are allowed to check in on me, and here's my emergency contact. They also opt in for sharing their fingerprints, for a reason I will share, and some data from their Apple Watch, as I will share. And this is one of the screenshots from the wireframe. Is that the right way to phrase this? I'm in marketing, by the way. This would be, so the friend in question has been missing for a bit of time, and so the friend that has been opted in and allowed to check in on this friend would pull up the app, and the app would say, hey, good news, their fingerprints have not been, there's no entry in the hospitals, the jails, or the mortuaries. But their Apple Watch pulse says it's low, their oxygen is low, their location is abnormal. So the next step would be, would you like to alert the emergency contact that is been approved to go ahead and contact them and try and reach them? Yep, so concerned friend looking for friend. App idea.
Radical. What could we call it?
You have to come up with a shorter title than concerned friend.
Oh, Lifeline.
Concerned friend lifeline.
I know, probably. Oh, for you, I think you can't trademark that.
Concerned.
Do we need to pitch a design, or do we need to pitch the stack, or just the design?
We're just gonna see how far we can get with it.
Exactly. It's just totally going to be about strategizing when it comes to the stack and the implementation, but obviously we can't do anything right now. So that's what we're going to work with. We can do something. I can't SSH into my computer.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Valerie. I'm the design, the product and UX design meetup lead. So I wasn't in any of these groups, but since we don't have representatives from them, I will be explaining them to the best of my ability. So the third group is a happy hour app. The problem was trying to figure out, or there isn't a really great way for locals to find happy hours or specials to local restaurants. And part of that problem was encouraging locals to come to get together and socialize. So they made an app where restaurants add their happy hour specials. They can add the days, times, prices, add the drink, pictures of the drinks and food, and then and it's all based on a local specific locations. The restaurants can subscribe to add their info so people can see those specials, and then people can see happy hours around them in a map view, or search restaurants nearby. And then I think there is also, I know it's very hard to see, but they did create like a pretty nice like UI. By the way, like whatever we vote on, we can like take pictures of these and then we could see it in higher fidelity. But they created a UI of what the map screen would look like. All right, the fourth issue. I have a picture of the UI. I didn't get the paper of it, But the problem is surrounding dating apps and verifying people's identities, their interests and aspiration and life goals, because usually people just can make up whatever they want and put it on there, and then the problem is you're meeting with these strangers. Their solution was to implement a feedback and review system, so where after a date you can essentially add your review for that person, and then
It's useful. It's useful.
You're making Yelp for dating.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
I
I think the metaphor that they're using, or the example they're using, is like, oh, this person keeps talking about motorcycles on their profile, but then do they even bring that up in the date? If so, the person you went on a date with, you can verify if they ever mentioned it, if they have like pictures or anything, and then that information is shared with everybody else to make them a better profile.
Ladies, could we add a picture of them without makeup to even the playing field?
Slippery slope.
Does it go both
Slippery
ways?
I guess-
Women critiquing that?
No.
Well, see, this is not about appearances. We're mainly talking about the interests and like life journey and story.
Motorcycle.
Well,
That's an interest,
that's an
right?
interest,
That is an interest,
you know.
yeah.
Lines are-
So
Well, thank you
we
for the
have
question.
are
Yes.
those four? All
Those
four?
were all four products or problems and solutions.
Very productive 10 minutes.
That was.
You got a lot of ideas up there.
Value.
Dating app value,
Dating app value. Value validator.
value validator, or verification.
What's up?
Value verification.
Value verification.
Or I guess I don't know, validator. Sure.
Okay, so we
Hey.
have 4 ideas. Thank you. So we have 4 ideas that we can implement.
I need a chair.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Do you want me to bring it up closer?
I'm good. Okay. I'm good. My voice carries.
Okay, for sure. All right, everyone.
So Sharon's going to present the idea, and I'll present the text.
Oh. This is more about collaborating with the other meetup. I was just gonna present those, then we vote on one.
Okay. She can present.
That wasn't part of the plan. I'm sorry. Yeah.
What's the plan?
The plan was we take the ideas from the other meetup, present those, then vote on one of those.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry about that. There's a misunderstanding.
Okay, I'm not the only one that got confused by that, right? Okay, we're good.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is like carrying over from like another hour of another hackathon.
These are ideas for next time.
Yeah, definitely. Like we could do that totally. So we have 4 ideas. We have the design debt eliminator, the concerned friend lifeline, the happy hour app, and the dating app value verification. So for a show of hands, who's interested in implementing the design debt eliminator? Radical. All right. How about the concerned friend lifeline? Cool. The happy hour app? Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. I think we got a winner. But just to be democratic, and the dating app value verification. Okay, cool.
I like it.
Nice.
The idea is interesting, but on principle, no.
Okay, for sure, for sure.
Bring that into the world.
For sure. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do the happy hour app. And what I'm gonna do to make it easier for everyone is I'm gonna put the mock-up up on the screen so everyone can look at it. But what we're gonna do is now discuss how we could implement this app technically over the next 10 minutes or so, and then present our different approaches. So I'm gonna put 12 minutes just to give myself time to put the mock-up up on the board. Okay, everybody, now time is actually up.
All right, we're good now.
Yeah, you good? Everyone set?
Last one I did.
Okay, everybody. So, what we're gonna do is go through our solutions and implementations pretty much from start to finish. And if you guys need to have multiple group members explain, then that's amazing. It just shows more collaboration still. So I think that's beautiful. But I want to go through our approaches so that we can all start thinking about what we all did differently and what might be better about one approach versus another. So I'm going to have each group present up here. No real time limit or anything. Does anyone want to go first?
We would like to go last.
Last.
Because we don't want to poison the well. We have conflict. Our team of 3 here.
Oh,
Two radically different positions. We're
lots of
curious
drama.
what other people decide. You already know
For
what
sure.
my position is.
All right. Great. Thank you for volunteering.
Do we dive into the technicals
Yes.
or do we do the UI? How are we doing this?
Well, you can organize it however you want, but I do want the pitch, the presentation to be as technical as possible.
Okay, as technical as possible.
As technical as possible.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Sounds
you can
good.
go from like UI all the way down to like UI, front end, back end, deployment, security, or however.
Okay, so I'll do the tech stack. She will handle the UX and new features that we want to add and enhancements to the app.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Primo.
All right, cool. So to start, we gotta build a full stack, right? So on the front end, we're going with modern frameworks like Vue or Svelte, depending on whatever trying that week, and go with it. And once it's built, we're doing it as a progressive web app, which basically means we only build one responsive interface, and that can work on Android, iOS, and web, so you don't have to deal with compiling, building, distributing on app stores. All of that is just done all through the web, nice and easy, and it gives you access to all platforms. And for the back end, going with Node.js, so because of the wide community support, and you can easily build apps with it, APIs, all that, and integrate multiple dependencies, libraries. So we need mapping libraries. We got Google Maps, we can just include it and do the mappings and everything. For the infrastructure, we're running it on AWS and tapping into multiple different databases. For geolocation, I like to use Redis because it supports geohashes. And if you're not familiar with geohashes, it basically takes geolocations, the coordinates, lats, and longs, and converts them into geohash. And you can compare geohashes to very quickly and efficiently get locations within certain radiuses. So if you're looking for a certain happy hour within a certain radius, it's pretty quick, efficient operation. There's no delays, and we can search hundreds, if not thousands, very quickly, and very responsive interface. So that's the backend database infrastructure. What else is left? We covered mobile.
What kind of database are you using?
So Postgres and Redis. Redis for geocaching, optimization, and all that. And Postgres to handle the data information.
It's all SQL?
Yeah, it works. You don't really need NoSQL. And with Postgres, you can support JSON. So if you have not unstructured data, you can just drop it in a JSON column and reference it. And you can still query it as well with Postgres.
With Redis, is that also SQL?
Redis is an object key. So yeah.
For caching.
Okay.
For
I was
caching
wondering if the
and
geohashing like used a different function. I was wondering if the geohashing used something different than the key value. But if it's all the same, then
It's
that just
all the
answers my
same.
question.
You can technically do it all with Postgres, including the geohashing. But with Redis, it's just way faster. So you get that increased optimization and reduced latency when trying to query hundreds of thousands. Yes.
What are you storing in Redis?
Mainly primary keys as the key to link the information, as well as the geohashes. So you just, for specific functionality, because we don't want, Redis is expensive, so you don't want to store a lot of information, optimize it, just store what we need for that use case. So it's just the geohashes, and you run the comparison on that, and you get the primary keys, and you feed it to Postgres, get the data you need.
Okay. The AWS is expensive too. You're not talking about the
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, the trick is to get some credits. Rely on that.
Yes.
So,
pay for, you're gonna get credits.
If you win today's event, you will get $1 of Amazon credits. On
there we
me.
go.
$1
Yeah.
free use.
Yes.
Well, AWS now gives $300 just to start a new app.
Oh, that's nice.
It'll
So,
last you
that way
about
they
like
can flex
2
it.
hours if you get any kind of user base.
well, yes and no. You just got to build it
Deferred
more efficiently.
compensation
Yep. So yeah.
Cool.
So, in Redis, how are you going to use like your key value pairs to like look up data? Because I'm wondering like what exactly are you storing? Is it like all of the bars and restaurants? Like what are you actually storing?
Is basically storing the geohash, which is the location, and primary key that's stored in Postgres, so it links back to it. And basically you just do one query. I'm like, for the geohash, the way it works is you kind of truncate. So the more data you truncate, the bigger the radius it will be that's looking up in it. So it's just a simple, quick comparison that happens on the back end. And you run, say like, okay, my current location has this geohash, compare with all the geohashes up to, let's say, this kind of chunk. And that's the, whatever matches, you get those primary keys, and you just look that up in your main database.
So do you save the geohashes for the radius that you've selected, or are you just saving the geohashes for the restaurant themselves so that they're more rapidly accessible?
So I save the geohashes for the restaurants in the cache,
Okay,
all of them.
Okay.
And when you want to do a lookup, you just compare against it, and you get a subset, and that's the subset. You get the full details, information, all the details you want.
And you are still using it as a cache, right?
Well, just for that function. It depends on how deep you want to go with it, right?
Right.
And you're storing all the cache and your database online too, is that cloud-based, or are you going to replan?
It's all on AWS for convenience. You can use other things. Yeah, it does get specific. But you know, it's a balancing act, right? You can self-host too.
Way to get started.
It is the way to get started.
That's true. That's true.
It's a good start.
And yeah, the other part.
The other part.
The other part. Well, so of course I'm a designer, so not very technical, but I was very inspired by, because I was asking a lot of questions of like how, storing this information would work and organizing restaurants' entries, and so I wanted to add like a couple auxiliary features where, the first one was a calendar integration, because if you're setting up a happy hour and the point of this app is to get multiple people together, you could set up that event in your calendar, and then the search could see, it's like happy hour at 6 p.m. and then the search can just filter out everything that's at 6 p.m. around your area. And then additionally, well, at least in my experience, happy hours are very, it's not really planned for that much in advance. It's very quick. So I also wanted to incorporate either automotive, voice technology to ask your car's GPS for nearby happy hours around you. Or, if you did want to use an actual GUI, just ask a chat GPT search and chat box for a very specific type of happy hour, because for me, I'm very interested in filters that don't apply to all restaurants. Like if I want to find Japanese food, sushi, but not all you can eat, and specifically at this time, and also I want to make sure it's under, I want it to be at least 50% off. These are very specific asks that don't apply to all restaurants.
And to support those features, it's basically start one by one. So the first one is kind of taking the LLM approach and basically being able to have a conversation with the app and get actual results. For that, it's pretty simple. Just leverage OpenAI's API and create an assistant that basically tell it, hey, whatever input you get from the user, you're just going to take it, convert it into this JSON output, where you give me, let's say, the time, the location, certain tags you want to filter by, and you take that and you just pipe it back into the backend, the API endpoint, and you get all the results you need. And the other feature was the access to the calendar and being able to populate the calendar event with an actual happy hour. For that, is also relatively easy. It's just a quick integration via API with, let's say, Google Calendar. And as long as you get the authentication set up and everything, it's pretty straightforward. You get all the events, you find the event that's titled happy hour, figure out the time it is, and you know the location of the user because when they sign up, they select their location, and you take that information. You have the location, you have the time. Just do a quick radius check. You have preferences as well, and figure out a happy hour that's available, and you update the location on the calendar, and you're all set.
Authentication via Open ID or Azure?
So with Google Calendar APIs, because it's considered private information for the calendar, you have to do an OAuth with Google Calendar. So you have to register your app with Google Cloud, set up a whole thing. But it is not too bad. I did it last month, so
Oh, okay.
yeah. And
That's it.
Very
Thank
cool.
you all.
Very cool.
any questions?
Oh, yes.
Any features you guys want me to add?
We also have about 15 minutes, so I don't know how many groups we have.
We just have 3.
Oh, really?
Luckily, yeah. Luckily, we just have 3.
We were talking about something else. Not technically.
Excellent.
You and those guys.
So, no other questions? Very cool. Alright, do you want to sit up
All right,
here?
guys.
Yes, I will sit in.
Yeah.
Come down second, please.
Let me put this over here.
Is it us?
Just here. Yeah, you guys. Team Ramrod.
Second place winners.
Huh? Yeah, you can see.
Careful.
It's definitely more comfy.
It is, yeah.
Be careful. Those are the stairs of death.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
good stairs.
They've claimed one victim already.
And your flip flops. That's like double danger.
Yeah, be careful. Here you are. All right.
Then he went back?
Nobody can.
No, just one presenter.
Psych!
It's like I seen a band of brothers. Like,
Oh man,
where's
so
everybody?
psych!
You guys are sit there. It's free.
Weird Hugo.
Okay.
Well, take it away.
Hit it.
All right, so we were actually looking at this more of a business than an app. So we're taking a look at it's like, there are other things out there. Does anybody care? Can you actually get anybody to show up? Do people actually care about happy hours? There are, somebody said they care. You could probably get 10 other people to say they care, but can you actually get enough people to justify the amount of time and expense to building an app? So the first thing we thought of is getting very lean startup mode and saying, let's just make a dumb wiki and put it up there, and we'll go through and we will grind and get happy hours and put the information in the database and the thing and see if anybody actually goes. If we get past that stage of determining key metrics and yes, this is worth building an app, the first stage would be progressive web app, most likely using, oh man, my brain's not working today. React. What you learn on the app, you could also build into React Native and build a mobile app, because as closer you get to the mobile devices, the better you get. When you're working with people in restaurants, they rarely have a laptop that they're using at the bar. They're usually doing something on a phone or a tablet. So working with those folks, it makes it easier to have something mobile. But to start off with, you can just have a connection to the internet, progressive web app, working on the phone or the tablet. Finding some way for, the back end part, right? So you got the JavaScript front end. And some of the other, well, actually, I don't know what you actually program in, but the person who was talking a lot said Python, because they're a Python developer for the back end. It all works fairly well. Where to host it depends.
I thought Django or I thought Flask. Careful.
I don't know that even matters. I mean, well,
It makes a difference.
I'm on the palettes team, so it would probably be Flask. Or if you really want to go crazy, you want to go async, we could do Quart, which I actually do a lot of work in. Backend is going to, where you host it depends on what backend you're going to use, right? Because you're going to just have to have some sort of vector query to be able to do geolocation data for geoqueries. To me, it doesn't necessarily matter. It's what's available and what's going to be affordable. Like Python Anywhere has, you can host fairly quickly, as opposed to having to get everything on AWS or Heroku. Like usually first place is something like that, right? Something Heroku, or like hit a button, right? You don't have, the backend guy said, we're not really DevOps, we can do some of this stuff. I'm like, aha, there are things that can solve it for you. They're just very expensive when you get to scale. So you can move it after you scale. The consensus was that we would just use some sort of SQL database. Again, doesn't matter what kind it is, as long as it has some sort of 2D spatial index, right? I think most of them have a 2D spatial index nowadays, to be able to do the geolocation stuff you were talking about with the geotag stuff. And that was it, right?
I think I saw that you guys had a little bit more than just a discussion, right?
Did it come to blows?
No.
Oh, no. Opposite.
Well, there was a lot of discussion about like, well, do you need to build anything? Does anybody care? Like, there's already
I see.
3 of these things for Vegas,
I see.
right?
I see.
That was our first.
right? And so the question was, well, let's see. So I went, oh, let's go total lean startup on this, right? Like, build the least thing possible to prove that somebody cares, that you can get people to go to yours as opposed to theirs. Which the first thing came was, well, we could just make a wiki. Which means you don't need to build anything, you just need to populate something. It's all grind work, right? Just like, how do you get, I have experience in building apps to get restaurants onto them, and a lot of them was like, wow, all these other things for me to show up anywhere cost money. If you can get people to my bar, I'll be very happy, and I'll be willing to pay you a cut. All right.
I see. Free marketing.
How you test it is that you go out there and first you have to go get the restaurants, right? The bars, because no one's going to go to a place that doesn't have any. I'm not going to go to like all the best stuff out there and it's not there. Another option, right, if you didn't want to go that far for testing, is build some AI agent to go out and scrape the data.
No, but I mean like actual integration testing, like Playwright, Selenium, or anything like that. If you're using a web app, you got to have something to check with all your button systems.
I don't think we really discussed it. It would probably be Playwright. Like, that's the new one. They're like they all suck, all right? Let's just be honest, right? They're all like, especially on progressive web apps, anything that's a single page app, and you have to wait for something in the background, like making sure it waits the right amount of time.
Oh.
God forbid you should get into something that does some long indexing, or like my worst problem is if you have an AI app on the front, on the back end of it, like it's, your request could take 3 minutes.
So you got to test waiting 5 minutes.
It's a big problem. And so is it that it didn't show up yet, or is it just the problem that it's actually broken? And how long do you wait? Anyway. I'm a big fan of behavioral driven development, so if I was in charge, there would be something like that. Probably using some Cucumber based thing in front of Playwright. But JavaScript folks are probably more on the lines of, I forgot what those frameworks are. There's like 6 frameworks in JavaScript do the same thing, basically. Yeah. Which I just use Cucumber stuff because it works in Java, it works in Python, it works in PHP, it works in JavaScript.
Are you using like Gherkin syntax with that?
Yeah.
Did you say behavior-driven development?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to know what the second word was.
Yeah.
Cool.
Those are tester.
Which you're actually just testing behaviors anyway, right?
Right.
So if you ever go to a
That's
testing,
one thing.
if you ever go to testing people, it's like there is no test-driven development. All you care about is behavior.
Which,
It's
Well,
gonna
you
work.
care about how the actual unit behaves, right? So it's semantics.
Okay, well, different approach entirely. I appreciate the business attention. Yeah, because what if you build it and no one pays attention?
Yeah, why spend all this time building something nobody cares about?
Oh. Well, now you know.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Silicon Valley don't have it.
But because. Sometimes just because. Right.
Any other questions? All right, Team Ramrod. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, drama. Who wants to go?
Yeah.
It can be multiple.
All right. My name is Justin, and I was sitting there super conflicted because we actually argued most of the time.
Yeah, we did.
Like, healthily.
Friendly.
But I think one of the big things that resonated with me was, Joshua has a specific stack. And so raise your hand if you are a software engineer here. 1, 2, okay. Just really quick, what do you use?
I use Python.
Python. What do you use in the back?
Primarily Python and JavaScript.
Okay. And then one of you guys, Python. I'm guessing you guys were all at the Python one earlier,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay. What about you? .NET. I like it. And
Savage.
then LambStack, JavaScript.
JavaScript and PHP.
Okay. We don't have iOS here. We don't have like Java developers. Java. Okay. Swift or Kotlin. And I was thinking to myself, like, each of you, I'm probably going to get a different answer from on what to build it. And I started to think about like what we do at my company. We have a specific stack, and we bring people in who have good engineering principles, and we have them hop on our stack. And it's so quick for us to use AWS to get a container running. We have Angular, we have React, we have Next.js. We're deploying these things through Netlify. We're going through all of this different stuff. And I know if I brought a iOS engineer over here, he'd be like, we're building an iOS app. Stop talking to me about it, right? And that's what I would kind of just like advocate for all of you to do, is to choose what you can get going immediately. So for us, immediately we could probably do this with a LAMP stack, build it as a web app, responsive, progressive, whichever you prefer. But some things I want you to consider is, who are you working with, right? Because when you are hiring, we have to find the right people who are going to want to work on that stack, right? So often, if we're in a certain market, that we have access to certain types of engineers. So I think that's like one thing that I'm looking for is, do I have the right talent pool around me? We can obviously build it with a lot of different things, but yeah, I would look at the talent pool. I would look at what's going to get us up and running quickly. Some things that were very specific here that I heard was like using Redis, using AWS. We talked about Selenium for testing, whether it be like Cypress or even Cucumber. I think those things are really important. Some of you guys might be using Jenkins to run your pipeline, or I really like GitHub Actions because I can have it all within GitHub and in one place and have this stuff running in parallel fairly easy, so it's like with my code. But yeah, I think that is like the one thing that kind of resonated with me, is like we're all gonna have our choice of tool, but it's like, how quickly can we do it? Are we not repeating ourselves? Like, can we leverage the stuff that we've already built? And I think that was like the thing that like really stood out to me, was we're all gonna have kind of different things, but each of us might have different considerations of why we're choosing what we're choosing. So I don't know if that was...
It's based on the talent you have.
Yeah, it's based on the talent, based on whether or not you can leverage the things that you've already built, right? So if you already have some services in place that you can repurpose, I would say like use that. And what you have in V1 is by no means what you're going to have in V3. And to Joshua's point, I come from a place where we over-engineer everything, and we like to spend money. So the way we are...
Not the same.
Yeah, the way we would build it, you know, we're building it if every person on Earth was trying to use it, and that's not the case. We know that, and I think he might be able to share a very pragmatic approach with his stack.
Well, yeah, just to...
Cool.
Since we are at time, but just real quick.
That's true.
I think right-sizing the engineering makes sense. So I've used a lot of different technologies over the last 2 decades. There's some stuff that a lot of people use, and I think it's stupid they use. They may feel the same way about many of the things I do. But I think one of the things that's really cool about this meetup in particular in Vegas is it's really nice to be able to know what each other's up to and be able to talk about different things and say, how would I tackle this? He's going to understate my ability to scale up. He's going to say, well, you can't scale that. I'm going to say, you're out of your fucking mind. Zillow's a $3 billion company running on WordPress and the exact same stack. So I feel like that's a good cap. And I don't even know that that's the limit. But we had some great discussions. What's that?
They're breaking it up.
Yeah, well, and that's just it. You've got to be able to do a lot of other stuff. And one of the things I don't realize is a lot of stuff that I know how to do that just isn't generally accessible. I've been a system admin for 2 decades. So stuff that I can spin up in 30 seconds, it'd be unreasonable to believe people that aren't familiar with it could do it that way. So.
But no, I think that's a good point. So sometimes...
All right, closing thoughts.
Yeah. Sometimes we're choosing what we want to because of ease. So one of the things that like I'll review when choosing new technologies for something is how good their documentation is, right? He has a process that he's fine-tuned and is working well, but when you're taking a team of just general resources and trying to put them on a new project, and you're assessing like, what are you going to use for deployment? yeah, documentation, support, SLAs that they may have, guarantees that they can give your company. Those are the things that like I'm always reviewing when looking for like new vendors, for example. So I think, yeah, like documentation and how good it is and how quickly you can just get up and going is like one of the things that I'm always considering.
That's also, I mean, there's a lot of obviously like now network, software-defined networking and other things where it's like our infrastructure as code.
Yeah, IAC, yeah.
That's really where we're at. We're doing Kubernetes with everything. It's just like, it'd be nearly impossible to do it without like using that. If you have to document everything, like if the code doesn't tell you pretty much where it's at, then you're just not, you're gonna drown. Like it grows to a point, especially if you got something that's scaling. It gets to a point really quickly where you either have to have a whole team that's just doing DevOps.
Yep. Yeah, so like we have like SRE, site reliability engineering, and like they hate letting most of the engineers into like our IAC and AWS instances, but like even for like authentication, right? Like we get like vendor lock-in, right? So we're on Okta now. Everything is going to be using like Auth0, for example. But yeah, like I think whether we're documenting or we can find the right documentation online to like help us use whatever library framework that they have, that's like a big consideration for us.
MKDocs is actually really nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent concluding speech. All right, everybody. So I'm glad. I hope you got something to think about while seeing all these different implementations. We are wildly over time, actually.
Well, we're the last one anyway.
Yeah, right. So at least there's that. At least you're not late for anything. I hope. So thank you for coming, and definitely say hi to the people that you thought were interesting and had something to say that you didn't already. Well, thanks for coming, everyone. That's gonna be the end.